So during my first session, we talk about why we are going to use Jupyter Notebook, because during my first session, I told you that there are so many different IDEs and platforms that allows you to work with Python. Depending on the objective of your work, you can identify a suitable environment to work with Python. So during yesterday's session, Tianga talked about reproducible research with R Markdown. The closest equivalent to R Markdown is Python. In Python is Jupyter Notebook. And another thing is, just like in R Markdown, Jupyter Notebooks also provide you an interface where you can write and execute codes and view results. So because of all these reasons, we decided to use Jupyter Notebooks for this particular workshop. Okay, so now during my first session, I told you how to get access to Jupyter Notebook. So if I just summarize that one. So here you can use the command prompt to get access to Jupyter Notebook. Once you go to, I'm a Windows user. If you are a Mac or a user, then you can use the terminal. So now here, I hope you have already installed Python and Jupyter Notebook. Please, if you could not do that one, please follow the installation guideline that I have given on the first page of this website. And today we are going to work with Jupyter Notebooks. Okay, so if you just type, in order to get access to Jupyter Notebook, what you need to do is you just need to type Jupyter Notebooks. Here you can type Jupyter Notebook. I hope you all can see my screen. So Jupyter Notebook. If you click here and if you hit enter, it will bring you to the Jupyter Notebook dashboard. But the problem here is, if you just type Jupyter Notebook here, it will give you access only to the files and folders contained within the Jupyter startup directory. But all my work, I have saved it in the D drive. So if you want to get access to the D drive, here you cannot see other D drives here. So if you want to get access to a folder in D drive, what you can do is you can first set your preferred drive. So I have saved all my documents in D drive. So what you can do is capital D : it will set your current directory to the D drive. And then after that, you can just type Jupyter Notebook. So if you click on that, once you type Jupyter Notebook, it will again open the Jupyter dashboard. Now you can see all my files all my folders that I have on my D drive. Okay, so now during our first session, I explained how to insert a folder. If you want to insert a new folder, create a new folder to save all your Jupyter Notebooks. Then you can create a folder using this new, under this drop-down menu, you can see there's an option called folder. You can create a folder there. And here now during my last session, I created a folder called workshop, and I'm going to save all my Python notebooks inside that. For example, if I just come back to this, if you want, I can show you how to do that. So now once you click on folder, it will create a new folder. If you want to rename that one, you can just give test. Let me call it as test. And now, so I have created an empty folder inside my D drive. Now, if you want to open a Python notebook, here again, you go to new, and Python 3, here, if you click on that one, it will open your first notebook. And now if you go and check that one, so under this D drive, I have a folder called test. Inside that one, I have a Python notebook called untitled, because still we haven't given a proper name. So now if you want to give a name to your first Python notebook, you can click here and give file 1. Let's say file 1. And you can hit rename. And if you go back to the Jupyter Notebook dashboard, now you can see your first file. So this is how you can create a Jupyter Notebook. And now, so these are the things that we discussed during our very first session. And now we are going to learn how to do the Jupyter Notebook formatting. We are going to learn some additional things related to formatting that you can do inside this Jupyter Notebook. So that means now I'm going to talk about this third link, Jupyter Notebook Formatting Guide. If you click here, it will bring you to this notebook. Yeah, I'm going to talk about Jupyter Notebook Formatting Guide. Okay, so now let's go to that one. So basically I have created, so I'm going to use my actual notebook. So I have saved all my work inside this folder. Okay, so I'm going to first start with Jupyter Notebook formatting. Now here you can see I have, so this is my Jupyter Notebook. Now you can see that I have attached this Jupyter Notebook as an HTML file. So I'll first show you how to download your Jupyter Notebook. Okay, we will go through all these things. But before that, let's see how to download your Jupyter Notebook. So if you go to your this original folder, you can see the original Jupyter Notebook with this extension IPyNB, Jupyter Notebook. And if you want to download the HTML file, HTML version of this, what you can do is go to File, and under this you have Download As. If you want to download the original Jupyter Notebook file, this is the option that you need to select. If you download File, New File, Jupyter, if you select Notebook, it will download the original Jupyter Notebook. And you can share that with your supervisor or with your team members. And then the other team members get access to an editable version of your work. But let's say if you want to upload it into your website, then what you can do is you can get the HTML version of this. For that, here what you can do is go to File and Download. And if you click on this HTML, it will download the HTML version of that. So this is my current notebook. And that's what I have attached to my website. And this is how you can get it. But in order to talk about all these things, I'm going to use this editable version so that I can explain how I have done all those different things. Okay, so now let me first introduce you. Last time I explained how to insert a cell. Now, basically, when it comes to this Jupyter Notebook, you have two main types of cells. Well, now here under this, now one is called the markdown cell. And here there's another one called the code cell. Markdown cell allows you to write down all the descriptions and put your headings. And this code cell allows you to run actual Python codes. Okay, and this is how you can actually, now let me go to my test file and show you how to insert a cell. So here at the very beginning, what you get is a code cell. And if you click on this one here, you can see the type of the cell. Now, what I have here is a code cell. That means if you write a Python code, and if you run that one, you should be able to see the output. So that's we call a code cell. The second type of cell, that the main type is markdown cell. This is how you can insert a markdown cell. First you can, now let me remove this one. So this is my first cell. If you want to add another cell to this, here you have this plus sign, click on that. Now by default, what you get is a code cell. But imagine you want to add a description to this one, that you need to convert this cell to a markdown cell. So for that, in order to
yeah, we can't see your screen now.
I think you are the host, Tianga, and yeah, it says you have disabled participants screen sharing. You have to give me access to share my screen, Tianga.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry about that. So let me explain it again. So here what you have, once you click on this plus button, what you get is a code cell. Now, if you want to convert this to a markdown cell, just set your cursor there and you can select markdown. Now it becomes a markdown cell. And another important main difference that you can see is if it is a code cell, you have this input and output. This is input, this is output. But when it comes to markdown cell, you don't have inputs and outputs. So you don't get any additional details here. So now you can see, now I can write, this is my first paragraph. This is my first paragraph. This is my second paragraph. So if you run now, if you want to have it in a proper format, you have to run this one. Now you get it as a markdown cell. This is an output of the markdown cell. This is an output of the code cell. And in a code, in any Python code, we expect to have inputs and we expect to see an output after you execute the code. So that's how those are the main elements in a markdown document. So now you know all the basic things, you know cells. There are two types of cells. One is called code cell, the other one is called markdown cell. And now we can talk about different formattings of this markdown document. So, okay, so now let me go through this. So basically once you come to this one, you can clearly see that my first cell is a markdown cell. Because here once you select it, you can see the boundaries get highlighted by a green color boundary. Now you can see the type, it's a markdown document. And now I'm going to talk about Jupyter Notebook formatting. So this tutorial provides a brief overview of Jupyter Notebook and cover some essential formatting options. So if I run this one, you can see I get it in a nice format. Okay, the first one is heading. So now let's see now most of the things that I'm going to discuss in this session, you have already learned these things under our markdown session. So you can directly use that knowledge to work with Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so let's come to the heading. Let's see how to insert a proper heading and how to control the level of the heading. Just like in our markdown document, here also we use hashtag to insert headings and also to control the level of the heading. Now to insert a heading, you need to use this symbol hashtag and followed by a space, and you also need to keep a space. Otherwise, you will not get it as a heading. The spacing after this hashtag is very important. And the number of hashtags indicates the heading level. For example, so here, if you want to add a level 1 heading, only one hashtag. If you want to add a level 2 heading, 2 hashtag. Likewise, this number of hashtags control the level of the heading. And now, so let me show you my actual code. So basically, now I have highlighted this one so that you can see the input. So basically, now if you give it like, so this is a level 1 heading, this is a level 2 heading, this is a level 3 heading. If you run this one, you can see here, this is how you get it. And for example, here paragraph that I have given a level 3 heading because the font size are similar. Okay, so that's how you can insert a heading. Now let's see how to insert a paragraph. So now you have already seen that one. So if you come to this one, so in order to insert a paragraph, you just need to write the text in a separate markdown cell. And here, so for example, this is my first paragraph. You just need to write it. And in addition to that, even in the R markdown session, you learn how to highlight. Sometimes when you write a report, you need to highlight certain parts of your document. So you can easily do that one. So if you want to get if you want to bold a certain part of your document, just like in our Markdown, you have to use double asterisks. You have to enclose that whole part that you want to bold through using double asterisks. Or else you can use 2 underscores like that. Or if you want to make the content italic, so you can use only 1 asterisk, or else you can use 1 underscore. And here you can clearly see this is my, so basically once you put these asterisks, you can see it gets bold, and once you put 1 asterisk, it gets italic. And if you run this one, so here's the output. This is my plain text that form a paragraph, add emphasis where bold. So this is how you get the bold effect. This is how you get the italic. Okay, so now you know how to insert a heading, you know how to insert a paragraph. And now let's come to code chunk. You have already seen, you already know how to convert a cell to a code cell and how to run it. So here to insert a code cell, you can just turn this to a code cell. At the moment, this part is a markdown cell and this part is a code cell. Here you can see clearly, if I set my cursor, now the active cell is this one, it's a markdown cell. Once I click here, now the active cell is a code. And another thing that now if you run this one, here you can see there are no, you cannot see any additional details on the left side of this document. But here you can see some additional details because this is your input, this is your output. If you just run it, you can see this is the input and this is what I expect as the output. And the next thing is how to insert bullet points. Sometimes when you write these documents, sometimes you need to add bullet points. To insert bullet points, you can use asterisk or even you can use a dash followed by a space before each point. Now, when you work with Python, these spacings and indentations are very, very important. So here, now, if you want to insert a bullet list of items, then you can just use an asterisk and you can write it down. But if you have an experience working with LaTeX, then there you need to have some codings in order to get a nice list of items. But here it's very easy, right? Here you just need to put an asterisk and write down the items one by one. So here this will provide you with, if I run this one, you can see this is what you get. So all these things, I get a nice list of items. And not only that, if you want to number your list items, then instead of using an asterisk, you can just use you can number each and every item, 1 dot space, and you write down the numbers. Now this will give you this type of a numbered list of items. And I think I have, in addition to that, okay, I haven't taken the updated version. In addition to that, there's another one that you can do is you can also insert a nested bullet list. For example, let me get this one to my original document. So you can also insert a nested bullet list. For example, this is your first item. Let's say how to get a nested bullet list. So this is my item 1, and this is my item 2. So let me run it. Now here you can see item 1, item 2. Suppose you want to add another list under this first item. Then what you can do is you can put another list item, but you have to leave some space, and then you can again come, maybe you can change it 1 item A and 2 point item B. Let's run this one and see. Now here you can see on the first item, you have multiple items, nested items. So it's very easy. You just need to leave some space, and then that will differentiate the 2 list items. If you want, you can even put dash or asterisk here. Then if you run it, then you can see you get a new item list under the first item. very similar to a markdown document. Okay. Now, sometimes when you try to write reports, you also need to include images to your document. Now, let's say how to insert an image to your document. Now, this is how you can insert an image to your document. So for this, what you need to do is, this is the format, this is the syntax that you need to follow in order to insert an item. So here, first you have a first you have a colon, exclamation mark, and then within square brackets, this is just a description for that image that you are going to import. And then within normal brackets, you have the name of the image. So now, for example, now this part you need to, when it comes to your own image, this part you can replace it some description to your image. And here, this part, you have to replace it by the name of the image that you want to insert. For example, now inside this folder, I have a folder called figure. Inside that, I have saved a Jupyter PNG. Now it's very easy to upload images to this. So let's say now here I have a figure folder. If you want to upload an image, what you need to do is you just need to click on this upload button. That will allow you to upload an image. And then once you select the image that you want to upload and just click on this one, it will bring, you will be able to get that image to your Jupyter dashboard. And then, okay, so now I have my figure. I want to insert this figure that I have saved inside this figure folder. I want to export that one to this particular Jupyter notebook. So what you can do is, so you start with this, and this is the description, just a description for my file. Maybe you can replace this as another text, my first image. We call it as my first image. You can put any detailed description to this. And then within brackets, figure, now you need to give the file path. So inside this, now this file path, you give it with respect to your Jupyter notebook. So I have my Jupyter notebook. There's a figure called this. So you have to give guidance to this Jupyter notebook. Okay, go to the figure folder and select Jupyter PNG. And that's what I have explained here. Figure folder, Jupyter PNG. Now, once you run it, here you get the Jupyter figure. But now you can see this image is too large for my document. So there should be a way to adjust the size of this image. But before coming to that, let me explain you another method to add an image to your document. So let me get another cell. So first you need to, this is another way to add an image, very easy method. Now here, first you need to convert your cell to a markdown document. And then once you click on that, then just set your cursor there. And then you can go and select the image that you want to add from the local directory. Just select the image folder where you need to add the figure. Just select your folder. And then here, I want to add this image to this markdown document. Instead of following that syntax, you can just drag and drop it here. Just drag and drop it. Now you can see here it will take it as an attachment. And if you run it, you can see you get that Jupyter that image. So very easy. Here, just drag it and drag it and drop it to this markdown cell. That will allow you to insert an image. An easy method. But still you can see, still it does not allow, still you get a very big image. And this big image is a little bit big. This image is big for my document, large, very large for my document. So now let's see let's see whether we can control the size of this image so that we get a nice image for my document. So for that, you can easily control the size of the image using HTML syntax within a markdown cell. This is how you can do it. Place the image file in the same directory as your notebook or provide the correct file paths if it is located elsewhere. Now, this is my document that I'm currently working, and I have a folder called figure. Inside that, I have my file. So you need to guide your Jupyter notebook. Now, this is the format that you can use if you want to control the size of the image. So you have image and src equal. Here you give the paths to the image. And then you can use these two things to control the size of the image. Width is equal to 300 and height is equal to 200, and you enclose this whole thing using this notation. For example, now you have image, src. So let me show you the actual code. So image, src, now you have to replace the path. So I have my Jupyter PNG inside this figure. And then you can control the size of and the height of this. So here, this is how I have given it. If you run this code, now you get it in a nice format. If you want to change the size again, let's make it to 100. And see what happened. So here you can control the size of the image. And even using this, by adding some more attributes, you can actually control the position of this image. You can go and search it. Here, I'm just trying to introduce you to the basics, how to work with Jupyter Notebook. And sometimes when you write a report, you also need to insert tables. Again, just like in our markdown, again, here also you can easily insert a table. This is how you can insert a table. You can use this markdown syntax with pipe. This is we call the pipe operator character to separate columns. We use these vertical lines to separate the columns, and we use these hyphens to define the table. For example, now this is how, if you want to add a table with 2 columns and 2 rows, this is how you need to write it. So you start with vertical line, column 1, vertical line, column 2, vertical line. And now this is my header. In order to separate your headers from the body of the table, just add this line. And then you give the values. And once you run it, here you get a nice table. If you want to add a link to yours, sometimes there are situations where you need to provide some additional materials. You need to attach some additional materials to your report. Maybe it can be a website. It can be another ebook. So to insert a hyperlink, this is how you can insert an hyperlink. The syntax is very similar to inserting an image. There we had this exclamation mark, but now you don't have the exclamation mark. Even if you now, let me show you the original code of this chunk. So even if you just give you the link like this, it will, once you write that one, it will allow you to go to that link. But if you, instead of showing this original link, if you just give this type of a description, and then you can give, if you want to give through this link, if you want to link the required website, then this is how you can do it. This is the format. You have the description that you want to show inside this square brackets. And then within normal brackets, you give the required folder. Now I have linked this one to our workshop website link. And if you run it, here you get workshop website. If you click on that one, now it will bring me to this link. And finally, when it comes to reports, sometimes as statisticians, as data scientists, sometimes you need to use equations to explain certain part of your work. There, what you can do is you can, there you need to, sometimes you need to give equations. Both with R Markdown and Jupyter Notebook, you can give an equation in a very nice format. So here, what in order to insert an equation, what you can do is you can use this dollar sign. You can enclose the whole equation using these $2 signs. If you pass your equation inside these $2 signs, you will be able to get it in a nice format. So this is a quadratic equation is given by here. I have the dollar signs inside that. You can give whatever the equation that you want. And once you run it, it will give it in this form. And let's say you want to have your equation. Let's say you have a very big equation, very complex equation with some multiple conditions. Then you need to give it in a separate line. You can easily do that one. So let's say I want to have it in a separate line. So let me write the equation, the quadratic, the new equation. Instead of $1 sign, you can use $2 signs and see the difference. If you run this one, now instead of getting it to the same line, you get it in a separate line. If you want to have the equation in the same line, just use only $1 sign and close the entire thing from $1 sign. If you want to have the equation in a separate line, you can use $2 signs. And once you run it, here you can see it in a nice format.